What's up, everybody? We're back once again. This is episode 25 of the Bluegrass Race Hub. Tonight we are with the Championship 4 of the Truck Series. We have Barry Morton, Jonah Colbert, Peyton Hubbard, and Sean Kaiser. Unfortunately, our partner in crime, Alex Healy, won't be joining us at the moment. We have Cody Anderson as our backup host tonight. This is your HMFIC. Let's get it started. All right, guys, we are here tonight with our special guest, like I mentioned. We're going to start out with Barrett Morton. Give us your thoughts on the championship for next week at Phoenix. What's your strategy going in? What do you think is going to happen? Give us your take on it.
Well, they definitely have the three best. I'm excluding myself because I don't think I'm deserving of it. I think there's people better than me. However, it's going to be tough. I feel like I'm going into this as the underdog, so I'm just going to have to wing it. Hope strategy works out for me, and hope I can keep pace with these guys because they're all really fast.
All right, so we have. I don't know if you guys saw it last night or not, but I did some power rankings. Did y'all see that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we did some power rankings based on wins, polls, top fives, and top tens. So the metrics came out. Peyton, you're currently sitting at the top on that power ranking, just 2 points ahead of Jonah. Jonah, how do you feel about your chances going into Phoenix?
It's not one of my best tracks, so I don't know, maybe 25% chance.
That's about right.
Not real confident.
So Peyton, how do you feel about it? After seeing the power rankings come out, what do you think about your chances going into Phoenix?
I mean, I know barring kind of what happened to Jonah Monday, I think it probably would have been him if it wasn't for the P19. But Phoenix is one of my favorite tracks as a short track too. Short tracks have been something I've really improved on this year, or tried to. So really, my big thing is just really try to save my stuff, because I know. When I first started here, that was a big problem I had, was just kind of pushing too fast. And I think I've improved, at least on saving some stuff.
Gotcha. And lastly, but not least, Sean Kaiser, your championship 4 locked in. You had a good run at Martinsville. Tell us about your thoughts for Phoenix next week and how it feels to win Martinsville.
It was great to win Martinsville. Totally a surprise. I mean, kind of like what Peyton said. I just feel like I'm not that great at short tracks, but I seem to put it together there. It definitely gives a little bit of confidence. Phoenix is gonna be tough once again. I feel like I'm better at Phoenix than I am at Martinsville, so hopefully that's a good sign. I don't know what Barrett's talking about, underdog. I mean, I guess technically statistically underdog, but like I was telling Barrett earlier, I mean, I this whole entire playoff series, I've been sitting in the top 5, consistently, and getting like 3 wins. But Barrett is it always seems like he's behind, right there behind us. And I told Barrett, I'm just as scared as him as everyone else. It's going to be a tough race. Once again, I think the biggest thing is being smooth and being clean and being consistent. And it seems to carry through, especially in the playoffs. But as long as you put it all together and you are clean and you are consistent, I think you can pull it off. It's going to be tough. I think it's going to be really close between all 4 of us.
Absolutely. Cody, you're going to bring us in here, weigh us in on your thoughts on these guys on the championship 4. Who do you believe is going to come out on top at Phoenix next week? Obviously, you've raced with these guys all season. You know how talented they are. They're a top-notch group of guys all the way around. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, honestly, starting off, I just want to say congratulations to all 4 of these guys, because here in the Bluegrass Truck Series, it's no easy feat to be one of the top 4 drivers going into this last race.
Not at all.
But honestly, going into the race, I feel Jonah coming in, he's got 6 wins on the season, I believe, and Peyton's got 3 or 4. But honestly, going into Phoenix, I think it's honestly anybody's race. It's really going to come down to strategy and who can stay out of trouble. I honestly cannot think of one person that I really see coming out on top out of anybody in this championship 4.
So I want to reference. Well, let's go back to New Hampshire. All right, New Hampshire was what race? Somebody help me out here. I'm forgetting.
Race 2.
Race number 2. All right, so obviously we saw Lucas Lyons. He won that race. And I often, this is how I compare Phoenix to New Hampshire. They're very similar tracks. Early in the season, so you can't really take it as that's exactly how it's going to go. But because if you look back, obviously Jonah had a tough race at Phoenix or at New Hampshire. I think you finished 38th. Yeah,
I had the internet go out.
Yeah,
so did Sean. I remember Sean launching off of turn 2.
I was on my lid.
So we can't really take that and apply it, comparison wise, right? Because you had the internet go out. Sean, what did you say happened to you? What was it?
Someone came. I believe someone came. They made contact, and someone came careening off the outside wall straight into me, hit me just right, and I just barrel rolled like 2 or 3 times. Ended up on my lid, and I think that was pretty early, no more than halfway through the race.
Yeah, I got caught up in it too, so I was limping the whole race as well.
Yeah, and Peyton, you ended up having a pretty solid run, P2 there. Healy was P3, obviously. Like I said, Lucas won. Wiggin was P4. Dan was P5. Bobby was P6. So early in the season, a lot of those guys are still with us. They're still racing. So they're going to be fast next week, and you can guarantee they're going to be racing you guys. How do you all feel about that?
It's good. I mean, like with New Hampshire, Lucas did really good there. I think I pushed a little too hard and burned off my stuff before I could really catch him, and had one chance to move and didn't get it, and he led 42 laps. So
only advantage I think I have in this aspect is the fact that I've been racing guys super clean all year. At least I've been trying to, and I feel like I don't have any beef with anybody. I still feel like I owe the 94 one, but I'm gonna let that one slide because
Right, I understand.
I just got 2 things. I mean, it would be a boring race if you only put us 4 out there, so they better be there, and I want them to be competitive. I expect them to be competitive. And the other thing is too, though, that was a long time ago, and I feel like even me myself. I mean, I'm just saying, not trying to toot my own horn, but like I didn't come on until the playoffs. And I feel like I've gotten a lot better throughout the season, and I think a lot of people have gotten better throughout the season. So you may see some different names up there too.
Yeah, 100%. Everyone in this room right now has gotten 100% better as this season has progressed. I've seen all 4 of you guys do some amazing things, and even Cody, he's improved significantly throughout the season, and that's why I tell people all the time, if you're having a bad season, don't give up, don't quit, because anything can happen. Barrett is the proof of that from Martinsville. He snuck his way in because he stayed with it and finished the race ahead of Healy, and ended up getting that final 4th spot. 3 JC Motorsports guys are in the final 4 in your first season with us. I just want to say, guys, that's amazing. Y'all are freaking awesome. I'm so glad y'all chose Bluegrass to come over here and run with us. That's just fantastic. It would have been insane if y'all could have got all 4 of you guys in there and had a JC Motorsports battle. But what an accomplishment! Like, pat yourselves on the back there, because you guys did a heck of a job, and I really do look forward to Phoenix. Cody,
yes,
what are your thoughts on next week with yourself? Like, how do you feel like you're going to perform? I mean, you're going to go out there and give it all you got, right?
Yeah, that's with me. With you having the non-playoff drivers, we're racing for a big butt kicker, and then Healy actually put up $70 of his own money out of his pocket. It's one of those races. I'm gonna put some time in just to go out and try and perform good. Not just to try and get that butt kicker, but I want to go out there and try and get my first win in the Bluegrass series in my first season. There's been a few incidents throughout the season that have kind of veered me away from possibly getting that win, but my best chance was at Talladega, and there was an incident there. But even from the first race at Pocono to running Martinsville Monday night, me myself, I've seen how much better I've gotten just in running one season. And going into Phoenix, I consider myself decent at short tracks, and I did decent when the NIS series was running at Phoenix. So I think I can kind of take that into the truck series. But honestly, just like I said with the Championship 4 guys, it's going to take keeping a clean truck and conserving your tires and making sure you work the right strategy to be there at the end.
Absolutely. All right, I want to touch base on something else for just a second. So, elephant in the room. Jonah, you have a penalty next week. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we had the wheel spin at the Martinsville race, caused a caution in the first 10. Keith Hackney had the same penalty last year, but he still ended up coming out and winning the championship. Do you feel like you're still capable of pulling it off next week?
Yeah. I mean, anything can happen. I don't ever count myself out, or I don't know. My emotions don't ever get.
You don't doubt yourself, right?
No.
Okay.
I'm not going in cocky or anything like that. I'm like, I've got this in the bag, but I also don't. It's one of the things. It's just another race. I've been here before. It's, take care of your truck, take care of your tires, race
100% length
type
too.
Of thing, and 150 laps or 153 laps, a lot can happen in that time. Someone gets tight, gets into the wall, their race changes, so it's just being patient, making the right calls, and hoping the cautions fall your way. We have, I think, an extra set of tires for this race compared to what we usually do, so that gives people a little bit of leeway to play with their strategies, which I do like. So that'll be interesting to see how people kind of come up with their different pit strategies, and it'll be fun to see if we have some offsetting strategies, because I love races like that where some guys are coming in 15, 20 laps earlier than others, and then it really mixes things up. So hopefully we see some of that, and hopefully we get a lot of green flag runs, because Phoenix is one of those tracks where it's hard to pass, and if you start getting cautions, you start seeing a lot of cautions, because a lot of people will try to make their passes on the restart instead of being patient with it. So I would like to see long green flag runs, let the tires kind of wear, and let people do some real racing. So
when the tires do start to wear at Phoenix, and because I've been there, and I know it's the right front wears out pretty quickly at Phoenix. Like, you can overdrive it really easily and burn your stuff off. Going back to truck season 1, I was leading the race. I had a 4-second lead going to the stage. So we take the stage break, and just like you said, cautions, guys trying to make passes, so I had already, I probably put in 1,000 laps for that track because I wanted to win so bad, so I come out, and right off that, after that stage, I had an incident with another driver. He come in and he just stored the crap out of me, put me up in the wall. Third place guy comes around, and we're on cold tires. I probably would have been fine. My truck had a little damage, but it was just a nice little graze against the wall, right? Guy comes around me, the third place guy. It's actually Jeremiah Hobbs. He runs in our Xfinity series. He comes around, he loops it right as I'm coming up, blew my motor, lap, whatever, I don't know, right after the stage. You know what I'm saying? So naturally, I was really hot. I mean, I was like peeved at this guy. So do you guys want to see a lot of trucks next week? Because typically in our championship races, and I'm going to go back and reference season 3. I'm going to go take a look.
Yeah, I was going to say last season, it was like that. I think we had like 19 or 19.
We had 19 trucks. And
I was able to, I think that was the first, it might have been the first pole that I got. I think it was at like the end of the season.
You're on the pole.
Lap 2, Bobby took the dog leg, and I stayed up top, and I gave him half a track because I was like, it's too early to really keep him down there. And he just kept coming up and came all the way across the track, kind of doored me into the wall. And
that's exactly what the guy did to me. He came through the dog leg, and when he went to enter into, I guess it was 3 back then.
Yeah.
What is it, 2 now?
Yeah.
No, is it 2 now?
It's across, yeah.
It was when the old configuration, it was when it was 3. So he did that. That's what he did. He came up and doored the crap out of me. So anyways, let's see. Hackney started in 16th last season, ended up coming out leading 97 laps, led the most laps. Newbert actually had the fastest lap of the race. He no longer runs with us, but Adam Newbert, he was 27.041 fastest lap. But Hackney ended up pulling out the win, by 0.2 of a second over Newbert. What do you think? Like, how do you guys feel about having, do you think we're going to have a lot of trucks next week, or do you think that we'll have less than 20?
I'm hoping it stays like it has been, because we've had around 20 pretty consistently the last few races, at least 20. But
what do we have last Monday night in Martinsville? What was it?
I think it was
21. 21.
I think we had 20
I think it was 20. Yeah.
I think between 20 and 25 is like the sweet spot where you don't get, there's not a lot of mayhem and, chaos and discombobulation. But at the same time, you want to see as many, if we have a full field, we'll have a full field, it just means that the league's doing well. So, I'm not really going to complain either way. I'm just telling you subjectively what I think the sweet spot is, and that's 20 to 25 for the best.
100%. You get 20 really solid drivers, and you have typically really good long green flag runs. That's in my experience from doing this for the last 3 years. That's what I see. You get those 20 to 25 regular guys, they come in, and it turns out to be a pretty solid race. Like, we only had 4 cautions last season with 19 guys. So I think that we're going to have a fairly decent run at Phoenix next week with the trucks. Obviously, we were talking about this earlier. Martinsville, you guys only had 9 cautions compared to tonight. Cup Series guys, they're supposed to be our top-notch, top-level guys. 3 to 5,000 plus hour. Those guys are all high rated guys. We ended up having, what was it, Cody? 20 something cautions, but we had 10 cautions before 100 laps. So, yeah. How do you guys feel about being our top series? Like, as far as clean running, let's just be real, you guys are.
Well, like Baird said, we all race each other pretty clean too up front. So it's just, there hasn't been a whole lot of stuff that happens up front, I don't think. There's been a couple, but for the most part, we all race each other really clean. So
yeah, I'd have to say the same. Particularly up front, between the 4 of us in particular, and even the couple other people that just barely got knocked out. Everyone's just really, really respectful. We'll race each other as hard as we can, but I feel like the racing's been very clean. I think it's kind of the same way through the rest of the pack. I don't know exactly what it is. Like I said before,
lack of egos, maybe.
That's a good point.
Before. Yeah, I'm not trying to call anyone out in the
right. I'm not trying to either, but I'm just pointing out the obvious. Like, you guys had a stellar race. You only did 151 laps, but still, you guys had less cautions at the 100 lap mark, and they had, it's just insane in my opinion that we.
Yeah, why would I want to step up to the Cup Series if that's going to happen all the time?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, hopefully we could get, hopefully that series. I don't know if it's just the car or I know the trucks are easier to drive. Be realistic, they're easier to drive than the Cup cars. Cup cars have more horsepower and they're a little more, they kind of slip around a little bit.
And I think iRacing still has a few things that they need to learn about this next gen car before they actually get the best version of the next gen that they put out on the service.
Yeah.
And I completely agree, but at the same time, these guys know how this car runs. Are they not practicing? What's the deal? Are they just too confident with it? Are they all just that good and they just have to do every little thing to one up somebody instead of being
that
patient?
Is part of it. That is part of it. They're the skill level up there is, those guys are fast, man. Like, they're really fast. Like, there's no doubt about it. Sean, you've ran in the Cup Series, have you not?
Yeah, I ran.
You're in Darlington.
Two or 3 times. Darlington was definitely one I did the best at because I was pretty good there. But the Darlington, I feel like was an okay race though. It wasn't too bad. We had a couple long runs, and I was able to pick my way up to around the top 5. But I just like I said, I mean, maybe it is egos.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but these guys, they're good enough to get it done without wrecking each other.
Oh,
And in the
I
end,
100% believe they are.
in the end, you're only hurting yourself. And I think that's a lot of we and Peyton were talking before we got on this podcast. Like I was talking like, dude, I my heart was pumping through my chest the whole entire Martinsville race. Like you were right behind me. I was waiting for the bumper, and like, yeah, he tried giving it to me at the end when it was proper to give it to me. He's like,
Yeah.
he was like, I wasn't trying to do that. I wasn't trying to ruin both our races so early, etc. Like that's kind of things you got to take into account.
So, and well, that's just like tonight. So something that I did see tonight was Alex Huffman ended up getting into David Farmer early in the race. It was incidental. We just kind of tapped him in the left rear, let him save it, let him get it caught, and ended up passing him after the fact because he was having so much wheel spin he just couldn't get going again. But then we get a caution immediately after. Huffman comes on the radio and he's apologizing to Farmer and he says, my bad, I didn't mean to do that. And Farmer, took it to another level with under caution and comes up and just starts pushing Huffman and pushes him so much that he ends up hitting Holder. And that's Holder's trying to, a championship contender. He's trying to get in and they ends up spinning Holder out. And, I don't know if it caused any damage to his car or not, but, that's, unfortunately, Farmer's going to accrue a penalty because of that going into next week. You can't intentionally wreck somebody, so he's going to be starting in the back in the Cup Series next week. I haven't put it out in the Discord yet, but when he hears it on here, he'll figure it out, I guess. Which I maybe. Go ahead.
Like I was saying before, is like you only hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I think people need to give a little bit more respect to apologies. Like you can go watch replay, and if something's egregious, it's egregious, and it's going to be taken care of, or at least it should be taken care of. And but when someone apologizes, they're manning up and apologizing. Like I apologized to Healy when I got into him. What was Barrett? Do you remember what race I got into him? I can't friggin' remember. I think maybe it was IRP. Or
I don't know. You wreck a lot of people.
Yeah, all that.
I'm off on multiple leagues with you.
He probably deserves to give me one, but me and him are cool, and that translates to respect on the racetrack. And I just like Jonah was saying earlier, I just try not to get too heated about things. I try and stay neutral and cool headed.
To be to defend the Cup guys, to be fair, this was probably the first bad race they've had in a long time.
It's true.
There was a lot of races in a row where they were having issues, and Jason pretty much said, "Hey, look, these trucks are the Premier League at the very moment, and you guys better step it up." And they did. With the last few races and the ones I ran in, there was not that many cautions. So
I had a blast at the dark.
I'm just, it's not as bad as it looked tonight, and that could be the car and the track. There was way too many self spins, but there was also some very idiotic moves.
Yeah,
I did see as well. So.
And you're right. I mean, these guys, they did step it up. Once I told, I straight up called them out. I said, these guys are putting on a better show week in and week out. The broadcasters are saying the same thing. It's not just me saying it. It's multiple people saying it. So again, I'm not trying to pick on the Cup Series guys. I kind of just want to wake them up, I guess, in a sense, and say, you guys are supposed to be, the top level of talent. If you go on based on iRating. So, why are we having better races in the lower series? That's right. that's kind of what I'm getting at. But and I'm not trying to knock those guys at all. They do a fantastic job when they are clean. And you made a good point. They had a really good string of races there where it was like, hey, we got to clean this stuff up. All right, let's shift. Go ahead, Cody.
Let's and for tonight, with how many cautions we had. Compared to the Xfinity and the Truck Series, yeah, we had less there. But with the Cup Series, the points there were so much tighter than the other two series.
Yeah, that's true.
There was a lot more on the line for the top 8 drivers. So you can kind of chalk it up to they had a lot more to race for, to where every point mattered. But going back to what we've been saying, the Cup Series is the top of the top drivers in the Bluegrass iRacing series. That's the amount of cautions that we had shouldn't happen, but you can also chalk it up to it was very, very hard racing, everybody trying to get every single point out of the race. That's and still going back to what I had said about iRacing needing to learn a few more things about this car. There's things on this car that they have in there that some of the drivers may not be fully aware of what happens if you happen to get on the curb. Because with the new rear differential on these cars, it's open rear differential, I believe. So when that differential locks up, you pretty much lose all turning ability or majority of your turning ability.
Well, you saw. Go ahead.
A lot of it just comes down to you've got the guys, they're racing for every single point they can get. At the beginning of the race, they probably could have stepped it back and waited closer to the stage, but all in all, the racing itself, it was good racing.
Oh, it was hard racing. It was really good.
It just had a lot more cautions than what you and I, as the race control, expected from this race with the level of drivers that we had in there.
Absolutely. So let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about Monday night's race at Martinsville. You know, Sean, you came out on top. You led 138 laps. Give us your thoughts on how you felt that entire race. Like, what was going through your head? Were you sitting there thinking, "Oh my God, I'm getting locked in, man! Like, this is awesome! Like, I'm going to win this mother effer," you know?
I wasn't really paying. I mean, I knew I had a good chance of getting locked in. I wasn't really paying attention to points. I just knew that I needed to do well. I mean, and when you go out there, you're out there to win. And what was going through my head during the race was, I'm not driving away from Peyton. Why am I not driving away from Peyton? Like, I don't think I got more than a half a second in front of him that whole entire race. When people took 2 tires and no tires and we ended up in the field and I was able to make my way through that faster than him, that was when, like, the only time in the whole entire race where I could breathe. But once I heard after the stage that we got locked in, it was a little bit more of a relief. I feel like I was able to, like, be a little bit more consistent and take a little bit of a breath. But I mean, it was still tough. I mean, I in the back of my mind, I'm like, don't let him get to your bumper. Don't let him get to his bumper. Get to your bumper. And he had such good drive in. Peyton's drive in was ridiculously better than mine, but I feel like that was me not driving in so hard. I had the exit speed was.
Oh,
like,
you did.
Yeah, I couldn't. You'd exit so much sooner, and I'm just like, I'd drive it in harder, and I'd try to rotate at the same time, and I just couldn't. It was just a rubber band the whole time.
I wish, I mean, not that I would, but I wish I could tell you what I was doing, because I went into that race not thinking that I had any chance in winning, like, just hoping for a decent day. And but yeah, my exit, particularly out of 2, you were definitely beating me in 3 and 4, but 1 and 2 down the backstretch, like, that's where I gained my time, and that was keeping you barely away from my bumper. But overall, I mean, I mean, obviously out front, I had a clean race. I mean, unfortunately, Jonah and Barrett had their issues, but yeah, just ecstatic that I won that race. I mean, I was not expecting it at all, and it's just good momentum moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna, you anytime you can win a race and you feel good about it, obviously, Jonah, you've got 6 wins on the season, man. You've been dominant all season. You've kicked butt everywhere you went, pretty much. So after looking at the power rankings, based on the metrics, like I did 5 points for wins, 3 points for top 5s, 2 points for top 10s, and 1 point for poles. Now, Peyton edged you out by 2 points, but you guys, if you look at the power rankings, you guys are, a notch ahead of everybody else. You're, 10 to 12 points ahead of everybody that's behind you. Mm-hmm. Does that make you feel more confident and like you feel like you've got a pretty good shot?
No, it's really, to me, it's the rest of the season kind of goes out the window. It's always each week is a new race. It's a new opportunity to either do something right or make a big mistake. I've made mistakes throughout the season on my own that had nothing to do with other people. So for me, it's just making sure that I don't have any mental errors. You just kind of go in, you make preparations, and you go through your checklist basically at the beginning of the race, and then it's just don't get distracted during the race and maintain that focus and just try to be consistent.
So are you pretty like are you going to put in a lot of practice coming in, or like what's your game plan, like without giving away your game plan, kind of?
No, I don't typically practice out throughout the week. I usually we'll usually throw up like a team practice on Monday. Either right before the Bluegrass session goes up, or I'll wait till it goes up so I can copy the weather settings and stuff, and we'll do our own in the playoffs.
That was a really good trick, like to show people like you. That, I mean, I appreciate you showing everybody that, because that is a really good, unique tool to have.
Oh yeah, and for those that aren't sure what he's talking about, you can create an AI race as opposed to doing a testing session. So you can actually set your fuel to 50%. Because if you do a testing session, it forces you at 100% fuel.
Yep.
So if you create an AI race with just one AI driver, or you can do a bunch of AI drivers, that's up to you. But I just do one AI driver. I set my fuel to 50%, and then I go in, I copy as close to I can from the Bluegrass settings. I know we don't have the weather yet because it's generated, but I know that he's going to run it at the same date and exact time that the real race starts. So I'll do mine generated on that date, and then I'll go in and I'll practice with one AI car. And you can actually disqualify the AI car if it gets in your way. You can just right click on it and DQ it, and then you'll have a clean track. So I'll do a little bit of practice just to kind of find out like what fuel run is and stuff, but that's pretty much it. I don't. If I spend too much time on something, I start thinking about it too hard. So it's just a matter of maintaining kind of the same what I've been doing all season long. Don't change too much. Don't try to overthink things to where you overcomplicate things, because that can bite you in the butt.
Absolutely.
You start second guessing yourself. So just kind of go through my same habits that I always do. Just show up Monday, do my practices, and yeah, that's about it.
I mean, if it works, it works, man. You just keep doing what you've been doing. Obviously, it works. You've shown us all season how talented you are. Peyton, you've got 4 wins on the season. Same thing. You've been a fast guy. Obviously, last season when you came into Bluegrass, you struggled. You weren't where you're at now, right? I mean, your level of talent has grown over the course of 2 seasons. You got hooked up with Keith. I mean, you had fast pace when you came in. I'll say that you were fast, but you didn't necessarily have the racecraft that you have now. And, you got hooked up with Keith and, started practicing with him and learned a few things, I guess, maybe. I don't know. Just go tell us about that. Tell us about your 2 seasons, like how you feel about that.
I think the kind of breakout was North Wilkesboro last season was the first win that I got in the league. And really the only reason that I got the win was because Keith crashed out. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
He came in, and when he overcorrected, he actually missed my rear bumper by like an inch.
Yeah.
And because that took him out, he was the guy to beat there. And I think actually me and TJ Hanley, I think it was me and him up front for a little bit, and I ended up leading the last little bit of that race, won that one. And then Watkins Glen last season too, I led like all the race, and then we did the over under on the pit strategy. I got in front of Keith and then got so nervous, I guess, because I was like, oh, if I can stay in front of him, this can be number 2. And I wadded myself into the wall, and from then on. And that's when Keith kind of reached out, and he was like, asked if I was driving with anybody. I told him no. He's like, cool, me either. You want to work together. And then from then on, we kind of teamed up. But he's helped me a lot with kind of steering offset and brake bias and that type of stuff. Because I mean, when I started, I didn't really. And like I knew that it made a difference, but I didn't know what it did exactly. Like what some is better than others. So
yes,
definitely helped a lot, especially with road courses this season. I've always been a road course guy. Growing up, with my dad, we played Gran Turismo from the PS2 days. Just growing up, it was always road courses. You do those license tests and stuff. That just kind of just road courses have always been a thing for me. And this season, I've really been able to put some work in with the truck. So.
You did a really fantastic job at the Roval last 2 weeks ago, whatever, or was it last week? 2 weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
That was a bunch of crap.
I really when I put in a couple test sessions, I think I did a little with Jeremy, and I was able to, I think I put in like maybe 10, 15 laps, but it was really just getting the braking points down and getting the rev matches down, because I kept having wheel hop into the long braking points. And once I got that out of the way, it was just kind of rolling. So, but yeah, I was able to kind of run away with that one. And I think that was win number 4. So that was.
It was a really good performance. I mean, you dominated the race. You took off and had, I don't even know how much of a lead on Healy. But it was a fantastic job. Go ahead, Sean.
Oh, I was just saying his fastest lap time was the second faster than the next person.
Yeah, I mean, he half-tracked the whole field. It wasn't even cool.
When he told me he was doing 121.9s, I was like, wow, he's gonna be bad fast. Because like I find like that even though I don't race nearly as much as I used to, I might get one session in every few weeks. I was doing the testing and building that set. And I was like, God, he's so much faster than me. So I started putting in more time on the set, and I was able to finally get down to a 122.0, but I could never break into the 121s. I knew he was going to be fast because like I said, I'm pretty decent at road courses. Got several road course wins in the series when I did run. So I knew he was fast. Like I knew that was going to be a tough one. Yeah.
You should have raced up for that one, Peyton.
I did race Cup. I raced Cup. I started in the back, and I was passing into 5th. I was passing, I think, Brandon Holder on the backstretch. And I'm like, oh, dude, I'm passing for 5th. Like, I'm going. Like, I was trying to move through, and I blew it. I mean, I came in, and I think it was on my out lap. So it felt like I just didn't have the brakes. It didn't lock up, but it did not stop. I think I must have just missed my braking point. And I hopped the curb trying to save it, kind of flicked it in, thinking it would just kind of spin me around instead of hitting the wall, and it just bumped me into the wall, and that was it.
Yeah.
It gave me about 40 seconds of optional and like 3 minutes of required. I took the optional, and it just drove like a crab walked. So I was like, okay, that was it.
Yeah. I mean, if you started in the back and drove to 5th, that's pretty impressive against some of the best in the league.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
That car was a handful.
Your racing trucks was definitely impressive. So hopefully,
thank you.
Hopefully, you're not there next time.
I'm excited for Mid Ohio next season too. I know you took Coda off for Mid Ohio. I like that track, so that's gonna be a good one.
I think it will be. I think it'll be a fun one.
It's gonna be a good one. I think in trucks, I'm only gonna do I don't think I'm gonna run the truck series. I'm just gonna run the road courses, and then Xfinity, I think, is what I'm gonna really try and do. I think there's 4 road courses in Xfinity next season, counting the Chicago Street Course. So that'll be fun.
So no trucks for Peyton next season. So are you obviously you're gonna try to knock it out with a championship this season? I'm sure that's your goal. That's what you're here for. If you don't win the championship, are you going to consider trucks again at all, or you think you're done and you want to move up and try something else?
Well, no, we'll see. I mean, I'm paid for both. I'd like to see, feel it out that way. I can kind of race maybe both of them. For the first few weeks, see kind of what I feel like I want to do, and we'll go from there. I know that whenever Keith got 7 wins, you had to kick him out because a lot of people are saying they didn't want to run with him again.
Yeah, it was unfortunate because the issue was his I rating. He had his I rating was like above the limit prior to the season, and then it tanked. Going in like right before the season, which I didn't catch that because he came to me literally the day we were starting the league and said, "Hey, you got any spots left?" And I was like, "Well, not really. You'll have to be a reserve driver if nobody shows up." Well, fortunately for him, nobody showed up, or so like 2 guys didn't show up, whatever, that had already paid. So he got the run, and somebody else with him at the time, I think it was Charles. Can't remember who it was. It was some other guy. But yeah, so they both got the run. The other guy ended up, running a handful of races and quitting, but Keith ended up sticking it out, winning the whole shebang. But they were, mainly as everybody was talking about, he's got 7,000 I rating on dirt. He tanked his I rating, So I told him, I was like, I'm going to have to bump you up, man. You're above what we really, what we're trying to do here. This season though, we're bumping the I rating up to 2,500 because we're trying to open the truck series up a little bit more. We want to bring some more fast talent in. So that's why I'm not really enforcing the rule for the guys that are in the championship 4 to move up. If they win the championship, I'm not going to say, you got to move up the Cup Series because we're changing Xfinity Series. We're changing the I rating. So anytime we do an I rating change like that, I'm not really too forceful on that. Win the championship, move up. Give them a chance to defend the championship. We may see we may see Keith back in the trucks. I don't know. I may end up letting him run it again since we're bumping the I rating up. I haven't made up my mind on that yet.
Well, I mean, like if you think about last season too, like there's a few guys like Adam Newbert, Justin White. There was a lot of top guys that didn't return to run the series, and then all you guys showed up, with the rookie tag on the on the truck, and we were all wondering, and then it started at Pocono, and Jonah, I think you won the first round, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think you did, yeah, and that was when so. I think when I started it with like a top 3, I was kind of like, okay. I was like, these guys are fast.
They've came in and shook it up for sure. And like you said, we lost some fast, talented guys. Justin White, Nate Maurer, which I think Nate ran Xfinity. He had to bump up to run Xfinity. But yeah, we lost some fast guys, no doubt about it. But we obviously replaced them with more fast guys, and that's typically what you see. You get 40 drivers sign up, and they'll run 6-7 races. Once they hit that like week 7 mark, you see the numbers start going down. We had 30 drivers pretty much from week 7 to playoffs, right? Then we hit playoffs. We started having 20 to 25, sometimes 30. I think super speedways we had 30 or something like that. But that's typically what you see in these paid leagues. It's unfortunate. We would like to keep the numbers up all season long. I'm still trying to figure out what it takes to get there and how we're going to do it. But I've got some ideas on ways that we can keep the series full throughout the entire season. So give us just a second, guys. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with the Championship 4.
All right, guys, we are back here. So just have a simple question here for the playoff drivers and me as well. The 5 of us that are in here with Jason, 4 of us are rookies to the Truck Series this season. Coming in as rookies to the Bluegrass iRacing Series, did you think you would be running as well as you are coming into this series? And what do you think was your toughest race?
Who's
going to jump
first?
in there? Anybody, just jump in.
No, I did not think I'd make it to the Final Four, especially after, I don't know. I mean, qualifying crappy at Pocono, and then all of a sudden just started moving up through the field. But I really thought people were just being real timid, and I didn't want to push it because we had a full field. And then getting caught up in a wreck after wreck after wreck after wreck. No, I didn't. Not at all. And then, but thank God I'm stuck with Jonah, so I've learned a lot being with him.
What about so what do you think's your best race? That was the second part of the question.
Worst or best?
My best?
Both.
Oh.
My best was without a doubt Nashville until I got knocked out of the way for second. But but I've always liked Nashville, so I've had good luck there. Other than that, I don't know.
What about your worst?
Atlanta. Oh yeah, Atlanta. Screw Atlanta.
Jonah, you want to go next?
Jonah.
Sure. So, what was the questions again?
How'd you feel coming into the series as a rookie, and what's your best and worst race?
Coming in, I felt. I guess.
Did you think you'd be in the chase?
Yeah, you think you'd be in the Final Four as a rookie?
Tough to say. I mean, kind of. That was my aspirations. That was kind of my goal, was to make the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's kind of a confidence thing. It's not like arrogance or anything. I don't want to
I understand.
state that, but it was like, hey, this is my goal. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to be consistent. I felt pretty good about it, just because I've run a lot of leagues before, but I wasn't sure what the individual skill talent was gonna be like here, which is actually really good here. So it's been really fun. Best race would probably either be North Wilkesboro or Homestead, because those are those two tracks just speak to me. I don't know what it is. There's just something about them. I don't know. It's like I went out and felt the pavement or something. But and the worst track or worst race was Bristol Dirt by far. Ended up in a wall ride scenario there where the truck went up on its side, caught the cushion a little bit too much, and flipped me over.
Caught the fence, wasn't it? Did it catch the fence?
Yeah. Well, I was running the cushion with my right rear, and then it was like just barely grazed the wall, and it just hooked the
drugged you up,
and it pulled me up into the wall, and then it flipped the truck over all by myself. Nobody was around me. I was like, that was so embarrassing. So,
all right, Sean, that'll go to you. How do you feel about it? Think you're going to make the Final Four?
Oh no! The first part of the question, pretty much copy and paste what Barrett said. No way in hell did I think that I was going to make the Final Four. Coming into a new league, like particularly, I just try and like find my rhythm, find my pace, and not get in people's way and not piss people off. And but and then once you find your rhythm, you can start being a little bit more risky with things.
Yeah.
I just like Barrett said. Me and Barrett both started the season like crap. I mean, you can look at the standings, and each week we're just slowly making our way up. And like Pocono, I ended up getting wrecked, and I feel like I was second fastest to Jonah at Pocono. And then New Hampshire, I ended up on my lid. But since then, just found my pace, found my rhythm, and then more confidence. And now I feel like I deserve to be here and did what I need to do to be here. But as it goes to best and worst track, worst track is probably Bristol Dirt. I need to figure out something on the dirt. Not my forte. That and road courses are probably my two biggest weaknesses. Best track, I'd have to say, is Darlington. Probably goes with what Jonah said. Nothing against Jonah. I really feel like that I was the fastest car there. I just love that track. I struggle in 3 and 4, but 1 and 2, man, like I don't know what it is. I just know where to let off and I know where to get back in the gas because with that corner you have to let off and then you almost have to get back full throttle and then let off again and just carrying that amount of momentum. I just absolutely love it. So that's probably my favorite track and was my best race.
Absolutely. I love Darlington. All right, I'm going to pull up a couple messages real quick and give me just a second. All right, Peyton, what do you think it was your best and worst track this season?
I mean, like, as results wise, I think, it would be the Roval, but it's not my favorite track. I think the track that I like the most is, it's Phoenix. I like that. Something about Phoenix. It's like a short track, but it's hard to save your stuff. But I really like Phoenix as a track. Worst track, I'd say. I don't like dirt, so I'd say, like Jonah said, Bristol Dirt wasn't my favorite. I know I was running up front for a little bit, but that was only because I had Keith,
right,
to help me out, to show me some things before the race. But yeah, that was not very fun.
All right, so now we'll get over to those messages. Give me just a second. All right, guys, so we're going to play a couple messages we got from John Schwartz. He called in and he has a question he wants everybody to answer. So,
hey guys, this is Jonathan Schwartz, driver of the number 95 Chevrolet in the Bluegrass Cup Series, and I have a question regarding cautions at Martinsville. So I did some research and looked over the last 2 seasons and noticed that 2 seasons ago, there were 26 cautions across all 3 races at Martinsville, across all 3 series. Then last season, there were 42 cautions across all 3 of those races. So averaging those, that's around 35 cautions. So I want you to let me know whether you think we're going to have over or under 35 cautions across all 3 races this week at Martinsville. I'm going to guess over, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think. I feel it's going to be pretty close to that for all 3 races. That's averaging around like 10 cautions, 11 cautions or so per race. The Cup Series race is, of course, the longest, so the more opportunities for cautions. But yeah, I'd like to hear what you guys think. Thanks for listening.
Well, I can see the future, and I'm going to tell them it's going to be over.
Yeah, so we obviously already know that it was over that. Trucks had the least. Xfinity had the least. I'm sorry, Xfinity had the least with
really
8.
well.
Had like 8, didn't they?
At 8.
Yeah.
Trucks were second, and then Cup, obviously, they had their problems, 20 plus tonight. So that's the first message. Let me get the second one pulled up here.
Hey guys, this is Jonathan Schwartz again, and I wanted to look forward towards Phoenix and the championship week. So I did a little research over the last 2 seasons, and I noticed that across all 3 series, the champion of the Truck Series, Xfinity, and Cup Series all were either the championship leader going into that weekend or were second place in points. Over the last 2 seasons, the person in third in points or fourth has not won any championship. So I wanted to ask whether you think any driver heading into Phoenix that's ranked third or fourth in points will end up winning the championship, or whether all the champions will be from that first or second points position. I'm actually going to say I think it's only going to be first or second in points. I feel that over the season they've built up that those points because they've been consistently finishing in those podiums, and so I feel like it would be that's who you should expect for the win. But curious to hear your thoughts. Will we have any of those upsets? Yeah, thanks.
All right, so obviously 1 and 2 in trucks is Jonah and Peyton. So what do you guys think about that?
All right, let me answer that. Well, thanks, Jonathan, for killing my hopes. However, if you look at who's got the most momentum going into this race, it is by far Sean. Sean is killing it in the chase right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then if you also look at the power rankings, and we're going to put an asterisk next to Jonah's name because somebody disqualified him from a race.
Yeah, you got a point.
We won't get into that.
True.
Just gotta say.
True.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I hope to disrupt that stat, but that's kind of all I can really say on it.
I don't like that statistic. I disagree or dispute.
Yeah.
Well, we got 2 guys in here that can change that statistic this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible.
Oh, I could do it. I could do it in the first lap. But,
yeah.
I mean, it's pretty bad.
That's the first lap.
Peyton's the only one that doesn't really have a teammate that can come back after me. So, but I'm not that kind of guy. So,
Peyton,
all this playing nice all season, man. It's got to build up to something.
Right? Yeah.
So, Peyton, what do you think about that stat? I mean, like I said, you and Jonah are 1 and 2, man.
It's not going to be, with Jonah having the penalty, it's not going to be easy. Just because he's having to start in the back doesn't mean it's going to be really. I mean, that's one less guy up front, starting up front, but, with him saying Sean's been on fire.
Long race, man, long race.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. I don't expect those guys to, not be up front, especially the way, they've been running towards the end of this. They're in the top 4 for a reason. So.
And here's the thing, Jonah starting in the back really doesn't mean anything because we have a stage break. So all he's got to do is work his way to the front.
I mean,
make top 10, get into the top 10. Like we said, Keith started 16th, and still made his way up there. So it really doesn't mean shit if you want my honest opinion. Jonah, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Phoenix is going to be really hard to pass, so it's going to be a patience game. It's going to take the whole race. I mean, it might take 152 laps to get up front.
But you have the pace. That's the thing. You have the pace to get to the top 10, top 5 even before the stage. Like, let's just be honest. Like, you're a fast guy, so you've got the pace. You could get there, and then we get the stage, and everything resets.
Yeah, some of that depends on weather because I mean the weather's going to affect dirty air and how bad it is. Phoenix is notorious for dirty air, but it's kind of like Gateway. It can be hard to pass. It just really depends on how much they burn up the right front. Specifically in 3 and 4. But I know looking from the results at Gateway, and I use Gateway as an example. Yeah, it doesn't have a dog leg, but the turns are very comparable. 3 of the fastest drivers at Gateway were me, Barrett, and Peyton. So I think all 4 of us are going to be extremely fast at Phoenix.
I think it's anybody's game. I think it's anybody's game next week. Honestly, I think that anybody can potentially come out. And I'll break that statistic. So, what about Xfinity? You guys want to weigh in on Xfinity and let us hear your thoughts on that? I can give you the top 4 on Xfinity right now. Scott Fritz, Keith Hackney, Adam Lancaster, and Radburn Shutter. So your top 2 guys would be Keith and Radburn, I believe, if you went off of points coming in. Let me back it up and see. Yeah, Keith and Radburn.
Is that the power rankings as well? What is the power rankings on the?
I'll have to go back and look at the power rankings on Xfinity. Let's see what I do.
I think Radburn is second.
I think
he's gonna be the one to beat.
Silvers was first on power rankings. Radburn was second. Lancaster, Hackney, and then Fritz. So Radburn's, James is leading the power rankings because he had wins. That's the main reason why he's leading it by. Oh, they're tied. They're technically tied. I'm sorry. So Radburn and James are tied on the power rankings. They both have 76. So technically they're both first. So Radburn is right there with James. James didn't make it. Unfortunately, James had a penalty, which put him out. He was in, and then somebody protested, and he got a penalty based on that, and ended up getting last place points, even though he finished in third last night. So it was not a good night for Silvers. But you like I said, you got Hackney and you've got Radburn. But let me tell you, Fritz and Lancaster, they ain't no joke, man. They good. Like, they are really fast drivers, and Lancaster has 3 wins, which is second with Hackney. He's tied for second with Hackney. James had 4 wins. Some say James kind of backed into a couple of those, but I'm not going to say that. I'm just repeating what someone else has said. I think if James is in the Final Four, he has a damn good shot at winning the championship for Xfinity. But now that it's going to be Radburn, Keith, Adam, and Scott running for it, that's a tough one to narrow down. What do you guys think?
I mean, I've seen
Rad-
Keith run Phoenix, so I mean, last season, Keith knows his way around that track, and I gotta go with my teammate. So
yeah, but it's Radburn's fast, dude. He's always fast.
Yeah,
I know he only has 1 win on the season, but dude has 10 freaking poles.
And going with that and kind of what Peyton says, Keith kind of has a point to prove in the Xfinity series being in the championship 4. He was last season's Truck Series champion, and he got moved up to this season to Xfinity and Cup. So Keith really has a point to prove to go out and win the Xfinity Series championship. But with Keith and Radburn, we've seen it all season, and it's nothing against Radburn. He is very fast on the qualifying laps, and he's got the race pace to be up at the front the whole time.
He's had bad luck, man.
With Radburn, it seems something happens with a late pit stop. He comes out, he may pit too early or pit too late, and he just loses that chance for the win.
You're right. I mean, he's struggled to get a win several times this season. Just like he was going to win Martinsville until he got a penalty last night for taking it 3 wide into turn 1 on a restart. But up until that point, Lancaster stayed out with like 40 or something to go, or 50 to go. I don't remember exactly, but he stayed out on old tires. And then he had Fritz starting to his inside. Fritz didn't really get a good start, and Radburn went to go inside 3 wide into turn 1. And unfortunately, that caused Fritz to push up into Hackney, which sent Keith to the back. But all those guys were bad fast at Martinsville. Lancaster ended up sneaking in with a win. That was his third, but he wasn't the fastest guy last night or Tuesday night. Yeah, Tuesday night. I don't know. Give me some thoughts here.
I'd say with
the
Xfinity series, I think that statistic may be broken.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just seems like the wins are more spread out, to be honest, and like there's a lot more guys competing to be the fastest.
Let's be realistic. Scott Fritz could potentially win that race next week. Adam could win it. Keith and Radburn are going to be hard to beat. I will say that they're going to be very, very hard to beat. Barrett.
Well, it sounds like everybody's going to need to tune in and watch it and see what happens, because it could be anybody's race.
Absolutely.
It really could. I'm definitely going to be watching that one for sure.
Jonah?
I'm going to go with Radburn. He's had the lowest incidence on the season out of all the guys that have started every race.
That's who I was going to pick, was Radburn as well.
10 poles. He's got the most top 5s. He doesn't have to win the race. He just has to beat the other 3. So, I mean, if James Silvers comes out and wins the race and Radburn gets second, well, Radburn's going to be your champion. So he doesn't even have to win the race. And, like I was saying earlier with dirty air, Xfinity cars have bad dirty air issues as well. And if he can get out front early and, just dump dirty air on people, he can manipulate that to his advantage. So, allows other guys to burn their stuff up trying to get by him. So, I typically go with the guys that, have done it consistently all season, and he's had the most consistency and the lowest incidence. So I think
11 top 5s, 14 top 10s. So he's very consistent. Is that did everybody get a pick in? Cody, you need to get a pick in, right?
For Xfinity, Honestly, I'd have to say Lancaster, just coming off the win there at Martinsville. I think he's going to carry the momentum in.
Mm-hmm.
But just like everybody said, it's honestly anybody's race. But I think Lancaster could be the one who will think the pit strategy out and be there in the last 10 laps.
Mm-hmm. So
I'd say Silvers backs himself into another one.
Silvers, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a good shot. He's definitely got a good shot to win. I'm going to say Silver. I'm going to go ahead and pick Keith. Keith's probably going to get the win next week. I feel like I want to pick Silvers to get the win, and maybe Radburn for the championship. But I think Keith is going to come prepared, and he's probably going to try to get the win and seal the deal for himself. So. That takes us to the Cup Series real quick, and then we'll circle back around, and we'll do our championship picks for the Truck Series since this is the Truck Series episode. So, Cup Series going into next week. GT is your number one guy. Been dominant all season long, 4 wins, just kicking butt. I think Schwartz was number 2 in points going in, but now Adkins might have leapfrogged him.
Yep.
Let me see if he did.
Adkins is second with.
Nope. Schwartz is actually your number. I'm sorry. I totally got. So Schwartz is your number 1 points guy going in because he has 31.28. GT had 31.25. Atkins is 31.18. Farmer's 31.11. And then you have Holder 31.08, Huffman at 31.05, and the rest are under 31. But Schwartz has 11 top 5s, 14 top 10s. GT has 10 top 5s and 12 top 10s. Then you've got Adkins has 4 top 5s, 9 top 10s, and Farmer has 5 top 5s and 9 top 10s. What do you guys think about Cup Series? So your top 2 are Schwartz and Adkins, but I don't feel like that. I mean, those guys are so they're equal in my opinion. Like all 4 of them. Maybe Farmer's the underdog because he had a rough season. And only has 1 win, but he's there.
Yeah, I think GT is the one. That's who I'm going to go with, only because I've been in. Normally, if I run up in Cup, I do hang out with the Cornerstone guys. So the way they operate and the way they strategize, I think that's a big advantage, and I see that firsthand with our team. So GT's real good guy, and I think he's going to be able to pull it out.
I'm gonna second that notion. Every time I've raced up, it seems like GT's the one to catch. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's hard going against him.
That's in some of the things that I've heard from some of the other Cup Series drivers. They're all saying GT is going to be the one to beat there at Phoenix. But Schwartz. I think Schwartz is going to have something up his sleeve for Phoenix.
Yep.
So I wouldn't count him out. But one thing that I want to point out of all 3 series, the Cup Series is the only series that has 4 different drivers which are running on a team points basis for the Bluegrass iRacing series. That's Truck Series. We've got 3 JC Motorsports guys. And Peyton with NLR. And then Xfinity, you've got Lancaster and Fritz. They run together a lot and are sitting in the same Discord channel. And then you have 2 Cornerstone. Well, Cup Series, you've got Cornerstone with GT. You've got the Syndicate with Schwartz. Wotel with Atkins. And YNH with Farmer.
Yep, all 4 different teams. You're right. All 4 different teams. So, who did you say your pick was then, Cody?
I'm gonna go with Schwartz.
Schwartz, okay. Jonah, Peyton, what do y'all want to weigh in?
I'm gonna go with Atkins.
Ooh,
I've driven with him a few times. A few Cup races I've run. I've been down there with the Wiltel guys. So I'm gonna go with Atkins.
Jonah,
I'm gonna take Schwartz.
I'm going to go with Atkins as well. I think Atkins is going to come out. He's going to beat that statistic of the top 2 drivers for the Cup Series. just based on his performance in the last few races. He's been he won Martinsville tonight. He's kicking butt. I think he's got the momentum, and I've seen him. He's fast, man. I do this. Whew, he's good. All right, so let's circle back around and we'll do Truck Series Championship picks, and then we'll be getting ready to close out. So let's do some picks for you guys. I mean, you can pick yourself if you want to, or you can pick somebody else. Cody, you want to start us out on this one?
Yeah, before we get into the picks, though, I do have a question for you, Championship 4. And I know we're running short on time. You guys need to get to bed.
Yep.
Coming towards the end of the race, with 5 laps to 10 laps to go, if you 4 are the top 4, what is going to be your strategy or move there?
Are we talking about, like, are we in a caution with 5 to go?
Yeah, if we get a late race caution and you 4 are the top 4, what's going to be your plan there? Are you just going to roll with it? Are you going to be super aggressive on a restart, bump somebody out of the way?
I guess it just depends on how deep in the run we are, like how, if it's been a short one, or if it's been, if we're really deep into a green flag run, that could really change a lot of strategy stuff. I mean, I know you 3 guys are going to be in the same channel, so I'm just, sometimes, when it's that close, if I'm like the second or third guy, I'll kind of play off what they do, just say like, look, it's better to put myself in the same situation as them than to try, something completely different and mess it up. So.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just kind of do what I always do. I mean, car controls is something I've tried to pride myself on. I don't like washing up into people. I don't like wrecking people. I'm not.
Well, would you feed somebody the bumper and move them for a bump and run?
The only time I ever believed in using the bumper is if someone blocks me and I feel like I'm faster. Like if I'm not. Like if I can't legitimately catch
for a championship, though,
not even for a championship.
No,
man.
okay.
It's just not,
even if it was.
Hey, respect, man, respect.
Now I'll drive it in as hard as I can, or try to get around on the high side or something. But if during the course of the race, if I haven't earned at least a side by side with that person, if I haven't felt like that I've legitimately feel like I have a shot at the win, I'm not going to go wreck someone and possibly pick them out. It's not, they've earned that. But now if I'm faster than them, then that's a different story. If they're blocking me, then yeah, I might give them the bumper, I might move them, whatever I've got to do.
Everybody gets
I've also got to know that any move like that could potentially kill me as well. Because you know how iRacing physics are. This isn't real life, and sometimes
exactly.
You think, I'm gonna rub this guy's door in the corner, but instead of just rubbing, it launches both guys in opposite directions, and you're flying to the moon. So it's like you have to consider that when you go down to the last lap and you consider making a move on someone. You got to realize this may not work in either of our favor.
Something I'm going to add to something on there. Hold on, Sean. The way we race each other and everything, we've been giving each other tons and tons of room because we're looking at the bigger picture. We're all trying to make it to the Final Four, and we're all trying to help each other out. This is a different story. We have not been put in this situation. I'm not saying I'm going to move people. If I have the chance, I'd probably move Sean. But me and Sean have been buddies for like 7 years. I'm not going to lie. We play Forza together. And, I'll probably split the prize money with him. I don't even care if that was the case.
Right.
However, at the same time, this is a hobby. This isn't that serious. It's not going to go on your headstone. At the end of the day, it's about how you treat people and how you're being treated than it is. And, you knock somebody out for the win, you're going to be known for that for the,
that's true.
Forever, I guess, so to speak. That's just how I look at it. But yeah.
Technically, you guys are professional esports drivers, technically, because you're running for money. I mean, if you want to go out, base it on technicality, like that. Yeah, I mean, I know we're not pro, like as in iRacing pro, but we're technically, you guys are running for money, so it makes you professionals.
It's crazy that I actually I'm racing for the same amount of money that I would at my local track when I did race. It's ridiculous. But, it's cheaper.
Kind of going up like what Jonah said. Like, I agree with Barrett 100% what he said. I mean, I'm not gonna go in there and like Jonah was saying is like if I feel I'm faster or if I'm close enough, I'm not gonna go barreling in there 10 car lengths back to try and the guy.
Mhm.
Like if I'm literally right on your bumper, no, I'm not. I'm not letting up extra just so I don't give you a little bit of a shove. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But and what Jonah said, like I 100% believe his sentiment, and I've raced with Jonah, and I know that's the type of driver he is. But
Mhm.
guess what, Jonah? You're gonna get that block if it comes down to it. So if you get
Oh,
that block,
absolutely.
you're gonna get that
Absolutely.
block.
I
There
don't.
you go,
If y'all
Jonah. Give him the
remember, I don't
bumper.
know if y'all remember the gateway finish. Who was that? Taylor Peacock that was in the lead, and he threw a vicious block on me down the backstretch, and I literally drove it down underneath the rumble strip to make that pass and pull the
Yeah.
slide job
Oh.
on him.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I remember
He
that.
wasn't even mad over it. That was
and
the
he
funny
wasn't,
thing
dude.
about
He messaged me, and I was like, dude, that was just good hard racing. I was like, that block was legit. He apologized. I was like, you don't have to apologize for throwing a block with 5 to go or whatever. Like,
Mhm.
like that's racing, man.
Yep.
Come
That
on.
exactly.
Yeah, you do what it takes to win, but you also got to show respect while doing it. Like I said, when respect goes out the window, is those people that do it and they drive it in 10 car lengths back and just
Right.
plow you into next.
Well, I
season.
also know I'm going to race all these guys next season,
Mhm.
either in Xfinity or wherever. So it's
Yeah,
like I want to be able to race with everybody next season, and there not be any bad blood. You know?
We're still trying to be on the same team here.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, you all are teammates. I mean, does it? Does it ever become a situation where you're not teammates? Like with 5 to go and $500 on the line. Is it? Do
we're
you
not
guys?
teammates on lap 1.
Oh, okay. I understand.
Pretty much. I mean, here's the thing. I'm gonna be nice, but I also want these guys to be scared. Like,
Right.
yeah. I mean,
that's the thing, and like I said earlier, I am scared of Barrett. I'm scared of all these people. Like,
good.
And in the sense of the word, I'm not shaking in my boots, but like
Right.
I respect them, and I know that they can get.
You know what they can do, yeah.
And but you got to do you got to do what it takes to win, and sometimes you may have to move someone a little bit, but like I said, I mean, people can tell when it's respectable. It's a respectable move, and it's not.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Something else you got to look at too is how have you raced everybody else that's not in the championship for all season long? Who's got beef on you?
Who's coming after you?
This is their chance. This is their. You better watch out. You better hope that.
And if Healy was
show up, Jonah.
If Healy was here, he would tell you right now. He knows firsthand. He was in the championship in the first season he was here, and he had an incident with a guy at Martinsville, and that knocked that guy out of the championship and it was Taylor Peacock, and Peacock ended up causing. He took him out. There's nothing to sugarcoat. He straight up took him out, and we had proof of it because we had somebody else's stream that we heard him talking about it on. And that ended up letting their teammate win the championship. He backed into it because everybody got took out in that incident. Basically, all other 3 contenders. Peyton,
that's kind of crap.
That's
can't
horrible.
Have happen,
But,
Peyton, you wanna weigh in? Anything else about how you feel?
No,
about
I mean, I'm just soloing it, man. Like I just, gonna. There's been a few times, I'm still learning a lot of this stuff. It's, with this season being the, Keith is, I'll go ahead and bring it up. Keith was kind of mad at me that I didn't give Sean the bumper, at Martinsville. Dude, as soon as it was over, he goes, dude, we go, and on the restart. So when I'm starting P2, I would rather start P3 than P2 anytime. Because I don't run triples or VR, so it's really hard to judge. Yeah, I run on like a 27-inch monitor, so like it's really hard to judge when I'm even. And sometimes when the truck starts disappearing out of view, I feel like I'm starting to get ahead, but I'm not. I'm like still, a fender behind. So I don't mean to lag behind. I just literally am trying to see the person's truck. So it's just one of those. And he told me, he's like, man, we're gonna have to have a 5-hour session on restarts. And and he goes, why didn't you give him the bumper? I'm like, look, I was like, I don't really have an excuse. I was like, but I don't know. I was like, I guess all I can say is, it happens at Phoenix. It happens at Phoenix.
Oh, right. And I fully I wouldn't if they're right on my bumper, and like I said, if it's not egregious, like I fully expected to get it from any one of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't expect them to lay back. I don't expect them, like I said, like if you're right on their bumper, I don't expect them to freaking hit the brakes so they don't get into me. Like if they're gonna, like if they're gonna move me, they're gonna move me, and they're gonna do what they need to do. Like but to I don't know. Nothing against you, but to your defense, like I was making it pretty hard for you to get to my bumper at Martinsville with with the distance I would pull down the straightaways.
You did the same thing that Alex was doing at Watkins Glen. You would back up your entries a little bit, and it would kill me because I'd come in. I'm usually like, I can come into the corner a little harder, and because you were backing them up, I would try to come off to the side and kind of cut back, and that's where I'd make up ground some corners because you would just stay so low on entry and stay low on exit, so it would kind of give me that, but then I couldn't get by you. But
like, to be honest, like I said, I was beating off Takahashi's bumper.
G-rated.
Trying walked into that one, but trying to get because Bobby Hall had made it out to lead, and the last person anyone in our team wanted to see was Bobby Hall.
He had to win to get in, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't want to see him win. So I was trying my hardest to get around Takahashi, but like Jonah said, he was blocking down the straightaway. I got to run, and he would block. Two times he blocked, and it's like, okay, I'm beating your bumper off.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like, I mean, and another thing too, like with learning kind of like running up front more is, a lot of the wins like that I've gotten, I think almost all of them I've gotten this season have been either I get the lead from a pit strategy or it's been I get the pole. Like if you look at the wins, I think my first 3 were I got the pole and I won the race. So it was like I start up front and then I don't have to pass anybody for it.
Mm-hmm.
But like when it comes down to where like I'm, P2 and I have to pass for the lead, I still struggle with that because if I want to move somebody, I don't really know how hard to hit them. Like, I don't want to wreck them. And then I'm like, do I just...
That's where the practice comes in.
Yeah.
You've got to get in a session with Keith or somebody and practice that bump and run. Because I'll tell you right now, in season 1, a lot of these guys that have been with me since season 1, we didn't understand the iRacing physics. So we got into sessions with John Kinder, and he would beat he would be beating the bumper off of it and not wreck you. And he would teach you. He would say, get on my bumper, and he would show you how to do the bump and run properly without wrecking the guy. And you can see it being utilized by a lot of the OG guys that are in here because they've spent that time in practice sessions. So,
well, like, it's the last thing I'd want is to actually spin somebody for the lead. Like, moving them one thing, but like I would hate to wreck any one of these guys. I'd rather, if I bump somebody out of the way and then they get to my bumper, they move me. Just make it fun. Like I said, it's not like we're
at the same time. If you spin somebody and it could have been avoided, and a caution called, you're going to the back with them.
Yeah,
exactly. That too.
You're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah, that's definitely the last thing I'd want to. But
all right, let's get to picks. I'm tired.
Yeah, all right. Let's wrap it up, boys. It's been a good one, but a long one. But we're going to wrap it up. All right. So, who wants to start the picks off here?
I will.
Go for it.
I think I'm due for a win. I haven't won all season, but I've been right there. But I'm not going to pick myself. I'm going to have to pick Peyton. And the only reason is because with Jonah starting in the back, I do think Jonah's probably the fastest at just about every track we've ever been to. But with him starting in the back, it's real sketchy coming off of turn 2. If someone spins out, there's not a whole lot of room for error right there. It's dangerous. Not saying he's getting caught up in a wreck. I think Peyton's going to be hard to beat.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
But, Peyton's real confident with Phoenix, and it scares me. So, my pick's on Peyton. But I would gladly knock my pick out of the way if I had to.
Gotcha. Understandable. Who wants to go next? All right, Sean.
I was going to say, at the beginning we were talking about Jonah's penalty. And I was going to say, but I saved it for now. I was going to say, you know what? Penalty or not, starting the back or not. Gun to my head, you have to put money down on this race. I'm picking Jonah.
Cody?
Well, Sean just took my pick. But
you can use the same pick. I don't care.
I'm saying there's only 4 people to pick from, and there's 5 of us here, whatever. So
I think in both the Xfinity and Cup, those people pick the same people.
I'll go out on the limb. I think to win the race Monday night, it will be a non-playoff driver in a non-championship 4.
Bobby Hall.
But to win the championship, I do say Jonah's going to overcome this no qualifying penalty, and he's going to be up at the front come the stage break, and he's just going to run away after that. That's nothing against the other 3 drivers that are in here as well.
Oh, you're talking shit.
Just from the way the season's gone and seeing how everybody's run, racing against all you guys, Jonah's been one of those guys I've tried seeing what he's been doing just to try and make myself better. But I think he's going to come away with the championship for the Truck Series.
Jonah?
I've had enough humble pie. I'm gonna pick myself.
You also give yourself half-ass too, don't you?
Yeah. Well, it's just I think I'm gonna I know keep bringing up the penalty or whatever, and yeah, initially it was kind of upsetting, and especially with the way Phoenix races, but. I take stuff like that as an opportunity to flip the script, kind of. You know, it's hey, I'm not going to be up there racing hard with all the other championship guys. I can take my time in the back.
Exactly.
I do what I want to do. I can save tires now. I don't have to worry about giving up positions. I can totally race this race carefree because I don't. It's not as much pressure, I guess, coming from the back. But okay, I can do whatever I want now. I can get wild with it. So. Yeah, and it's kind of situations like this where I usually excel when I feel like I'm backed into a corner with something. So yeah, I'm gonna come out swinging, and hopefully it works out. So that's my pick.
Peyton?
Oh, that trend. I'll pick myself too. I'm soloing it. You know, these guys are on a team. You know, I've got to go against myself. You know, I like Phoenix as a track. It's one of my favorite tracks to run. You know, I think I've been really good at short tracks this year, so I'm gonna just try and, you know, pace myself, manage myself from up front, and I'm gonna try and you know, first step is qualifying up front. You know, if I can get the pole, I think I've been pretty good. I think, you know, 75% of the time I get the pole. So
you could start back with me if you want to.
It's when you start on the pole, it's man, the pressure. I'll tell you, I started on the pole, and I mean, it was still. I got my nerves were shot whenever I was doing it. So, it's a lot of pressure, man. That leaves me, right?
Yep, that's it. And we haven't used our F word yet, so I'll use it right now. The last person to pick is the head motherfucker in charge.
This is tough, man. I want to go with Jonah or Peyton, but I'm going to tell you right now, I think that Barrett or Sean, either one could pull this shit off. I think Barrett is hungry enough for his first win. Sean's got the momentum, so I'm going to go with Sean, man. I think Sean's going to get it done just based on the way he's ran the last 6-7 races. He has shown that he's got the pace, and he's, you know, made good moves, and he's hard to pass. Like, that's, you know, Jonah said several times it's hard to pass at Phoenix, and I think if Sean can get to the front and stay there, he's gonna be a tough guy to get around, and I'm gonna go with Sean on it. All right, that's gonna wrap up our picks. That leaves us to sponsors. Cody, you want to send us out of here? Give those wonderful sponsors a big shout out and a thanks.
Let's do it.
For being partners.
First off, want to say thanks to Kinder Performance. I know he's been coming back and forth between racing and not with his real life kart racing, and looking on Facebook, he's been doing really well with that stuff. Congratulations to him.
Killing it.
Want to say thanks to Huffman Designs and Scott Fritz Designs. Both of them, you want to paint, shoot them a message. They will hook you up with an amazing design. Elevated Outdoors, as Healy would say, they like to get high outside. Red Rocket Building and Barbecues won't sell you barbecue, but they'll sell you the thing to make the barbecue, and they'll sell you some buildings to make the barbecue in. And then Butt Kicker as well. been on for quite a few seasons here with Jason and Bluegrass.
That's the
And
beginning.
then WJM Motorsports. Got a lot going on with them, and I believe they plan on coming on next season to sponsor some races for Jason. So look forward to them coming on.
All right, that's the sponsors. Once again, that's Barrett Morton, that's Cody Anderson, that's Jonah Colbert, that's Peyton Hubbard, that's Sean Kaiser. I'm Jason Collins. We'll see you next time.